morning, everybody. Welcome to the year of our Lord 2023. I'm Tom Vasel.
I'm Wendy Yee.
I'm Chris Yee. I don't have an awesome intro like that.
2023.
I would say this is our first video, but we had videos go up yesterday. But all those videos were recorded in 2022.
They're fake. They're phonies is what you're saying.
Lies.
The trickery of editing and deception.
We need to record those on Sunday morning. Gotta get them out.
No, we do not need to do that. Also, Sunday morning, this is the first year since I can remember where I was like, you know what, guys, I'm going to go to bed and just wake me up right before midnight. And they persuaded me not to have that happen. My older children did. But I came really close. I was really tired. I don't normally stay up to midnight ever anymore. So,
whereas Chris and I often do, and so I was like, oh yeah, fireworks are going off. It must be midnight. I'm going to go say Happy New Year to Chris.
But I shoot my fireworks off at 8, actually. I shut them off at 8.
Yeah.
And that way, no competition, and I'm done by midnight.
So back in Las Vegas, our friends would wait until the New York ball dropped, and they'd be like, peace out, I'm going to bed. But we can't do that here. I guess we could do England. Like England New Year.
6 o'clock in the afternoon.
Yeah. Like, Happy New
It's
Year.
New Year. Off to bed now.
It's New Year somewhere.
Anyway, it is a Happy New Year, and we're glad to see you all in the new year. So a couple things that are really important. First of all, it's a new year. In March, Dice Tower West. Do you want to come to that? Go to dicetowerwest.com, sign up. In July, Dice Tower East. You want to come to that? Sign up. Don't forget, those are filling up, and you want to come to those. They're going to be great events that we have this year. And then in September, the Dice Tower Retreat. I mention that because January 25th, registration for that opens up, and there's only 50 spots. So, I mean, there's 250, but 200 people already signed up. It came from last year. So people like it. They're coming back. So this is your chance to come. You might notice these cool mugs we have. Or not. This is part of our swag that you can get for the Dice Tower.
Merch store.
At dicetowerstore.com, right?
The shirts that Wendy and I are wearing. The exact shirt that Tom is wearing. You pay enough money, Tom will take the shirt and mail it to you.
Can I buy that tie on the merch store?
I had to actually...
What is on that tie? Are they dancing swans?
This is a really weird tie. I don't even know where I got this tie from. But it was the first tie I grabbed since we're moving. It's not... I'm less coordinated now. I'm like, there's a tie. I found a tie. In fact, I didn't even have a tie for church yesterday.
That's blasphemous.
I know, and I was like, what am I going to wear? So I wore a vest without a tie, which is the hip thing to do these days.
Oh, yeah.
So anyhow, but the most important news, beyond everything else, is our Kickstarter. That's starting in 1 week from today at noon. And we really would appreciate that. I'll talk more about it next Board Game Breakfast, of course. But go to dicetowerkickstarter.com, sign up to be notified when we launch. And that's a way to support us because, well, we need that. Or we're not going to have a show for you in 2023. Well, we'll have it for January. But then we'll be done in February. We don't want to do that. We want to continue putting out stuff for you. So it's a way to support us. We got some cool gifts and things for people who do support us. But definitely check that out. That's dicetowerkickstarter.com. Speaking of Kickstarter, from last year, we want to say thank you to some of our backers. We have Jorge Cabrera. We have the Ong family, Alvin, Ash, Leanne, and Jillian.
Oh, every single one of them. Big shout out.
Good stuff.
Eliza Bridges. Matthew Romanada, or is it Romanada?
Your guess is as good as mine.
Stephen Isaacson. I know him. Tom and Patty Grieve.
Nice.
Tom is a good name.
Chris
Amyot.
Oh, that's a better name. Chris, you're the winner. You're the real MVP here.
Charles Harbotstadt. Michael Whitfield. And Joshua Pika. Or Pika? Either way.
We'll go with Pika.
So anyhow, thank you guys for watching.
Thank you so much.
For supporting us. So that's that.
I'd also like to thank our sponsor for this episode, Forbidden Games.
That's right.
Yes.
And you'll see more of them as time goes by. They had a game that showed up in some of our top 10 lists, which if you're missing are being reposted.
A very small game is what you're getting at, right?
A tapestry of sorts. Anyhow, that's true. I didn't realize there was a game called Tapestry and a game called Mosaic. There's a theme here. I'm gonna make a Civilization theme game called Quilt.
Ooh.
It's called Patchwork.
I'm going to respond with one called Drawing with a Stick in the Mud.
No, but the Patchwork's not a Civ game.
That's true. It's just tiny.
Anyhow, so we're going to, that's a lot of announcements and stuff. So let's get to actual board game content right now.
Hi, it's Tarrant.
And Stella from Maple University.
Last time we spoke about Mists of Carcassonne, which is the new cooperative version of Carcassonne. And I think they've executed it really well, and it got me thinking about other classic games from that era, particularly the well-known gateways, and would they work in a new way? Not just an expansion, but a cooperative expansion that completely flips the game.
I can think of a few. Maybe start with Catan. Maybe I would like Catan more because everyone will share my bad dice roll. Building settlements together, collecting resources. But you're gonna have to get rid of negotiation, I guess.
Or you would have
part of it.
Yeah, you would have limited negotiation perhaps, but then maybe the robber has a band of other robbers who's like blocking off spaces, and you have to. There'll be a new action that you have to take to get rid of them.
I mean, we know game designers.
Jails.
Yeah, going to jails. It's not Monopoly. We know game designers, but we hope that will happen. What else can we do? You mentioned probably you express interest of Power Grid.
I think Power Grid. I think there's. You look at Power Grid from 20 years ago, and it was a pure economic game, and you set up the whole grid, and I think there's an interesting cooperative bent to be taken on that in a energy transition kind of way, dealing with moving out old power stations while still maintaining the grid. I think that could make for an interesting pseudo-economic co-op.
Maybe it's another game that is already doing that, but not Power Grid. Anyways, what do you think? What else can be made cooperatively and made interesting? Let us know. And thanks for watching.
What is up? My name is Matthew McCack, and this is Smashing Buttons and Slamming Cards. This is a segment where I talk about a video game I love and I connect it to a board game I love. And this week, I'm continuing on with my top 1 list series for video game genres. And this week, I'm focusing on sandbox video games. Those are games like Minecraft and Stardew Valley and some others that I can't think of right now. And essentially, what is a sandbox video game? There's a lot of different definitions. In my personal opinion, I would say a sandbox is a game that doesn't necessarily have objectives, although it could, but you can ignore those objectives if you so choose. A sandbox is where you get to be whoever you want to be within the video game and create whatever you want to create in the video game. So that's essentially what I'm talking about. Now, my number 1 board game for this is Xia Legends of a Drift System. This is an epic space game where you are, and by the way, I'm specifically talking about it with the Embers of a Forsaken Star expansion, which I believe is absolutely necessary for that game. Regardless, you get to be whatever kind of space adventure you want to be. Now, there's not exactly a whole lot of like crafting or anything involved in this game, but you do get to decide what you would like on your ship. So you're kind of crafting your ship in a way where you could modify your ship to make it go faster or at better speeds, and or make it more defensive or offensive, so that way you could be a pirate or a merchant, or an explorer. Whatever you want to do in this game, you can do it. Yes, the objective of the game is to gain the most fame points at the end of the game. Can you ignore that objective? Absolutely. Can you have fun while ignoring that objective? Absolutely. I think this is a fantastic game. That is absolutely my number 1 for this video game genre. Anyway, that's it for this week. Thank you so much for watching. If you'd like, you can check out mine and my brother's channel called Room 51. I'll catch you next time.
This is a segment of the show where we take a look at games from years gone by, going back from this year, 2023. So we're going to go back for the first several ones. We're going to go back 40 years ago.
So many years gone by.
So 40 years ago, when I was 6 years old, Scotland Yard came out. I was given this as a gift when I turned 12.
1983, right?
I didn't realize it was
Yes.
that old of a game, but I guess
is.
it does come in or at least the version I played came in one of those really long, awkward boxes.
Like Monopoly-sized box.
Yeah, so I guess it makes sense.
If you've never played Scotland Yard, it is a 1 versus all game. It is one of the first, if not the first, hidden movement games. One person is Mr. X. There was actually, you can look it up on YouTube. There are commercials that played on TV, and I saw him as a kid, and I was like, oh, because it would show Mr. X running into the subway, and then these kids were chasing him, which you should not do, kids. Tell the police. Don't chase them on your own.
There were Scotland Yard commercials.
Yes.
Why did you not tell me before this? I could have watched one.
Well,
I
if you
will
don't
watch
watch
one
commercial,
after.
you need to watch Crossfire, because that's one of the greatest board game commercials of all time.
Oh, absolutely.
Crossfire.
I wanted to play that so bad. You know, I still never actually have played Crossfire.
We had it in the Dice Star library for a while. Why did we not?
Is that is it a basketball one?
No,
what
it's
is
one where
it?
you're shooting the marbles at the
You're
targets as
shooting the
fast as you
marbles.
can
Yeah,
until,
it's a
Oh,
little
okay.
spinner
until
in the
your
middle.
thumb can't.
But it's
until your
like,
finger
is it
doesn't
two
work
people
anymore.
at each other? Or is
Yes.
it just
Yeah.
one person? Yeah, okay. I was thinking Rock 'em Sock 'em robots. Bop 'em,
But anyway,
stop 'em.
Scotland Yard is a game that has held up over the course of time. Now, I think almost everybody at the Dice Tower, if you said, what's your favorite hidden movement game, will pick a different game, for sure.
Yeah.
But I think Scotland Yard, as a kid, I thought it was great. Everyone liked playing Mr. X. That he reveals themselves every 5 turns. You have these black tickets, which could be a boat or a hidden movement. It's really well done. It's a really cool game, and it's one of the few games that works well with 6 players, because you can have 5 detectives hunting down Mr. X. Although I also like it at 2. One person controlling all the... Although that's a little bit balanced against Mr. X at that point.
Sure, because one person is... You don't have to have the
Completely
communication.
coordinating everybody.
Now, is that something that, because I've heard people say that it's very skewed one way, is that actually the case, or is that just something that people say? Like, has there been research done on it?
Once you are good at the game, it's hard for Mr. X to succeed without basically just sauntering in front of you. You have to put yourself in harm's way. You can just keep
Okay.
running, but they will close the net on you at some point.
Yeah, eventually.
But I think. But either way, I still like it. It taught me what London looked like. I didn't know anything about London. This game is a game that made me learn how the map of London, basically.
It is
Well, that's
train
interesting.
past the game, like, or subway pass, or whatever it is he was rolling on.
Yeah,
It
you
looks
spend
like,
the different...
yeah, it looks like a big subway map or kind of thing.
It is interesting. Like I
Bus
said,
map.
this is not my favorite one by any means. Talking about a genre where there's so many good games since this one, but there is something to be said about the simplicity of it.
There is, and it still sells today, I think, and I would still play this. I played it either last year or the year before. Just recently, we played it at a game meetup, and it was fun, you know?
Do you have a favorite hidden movement?
I don't know off the top of my head. I really like, what's the one that came out last year? Sniper Elite.
Sniper
really
Elite.
like
I haven't
Sniper
played
Elite.
that
Probably my
one.
favorite one.
I haven't played that. I did like the Clue Caper. That was the one, right?
Museum
Clue
Caper?
Museum
yeah,
Caper,
Great
yes.
Museum Caper.
That's on the line of this
That
one. It's
one's-
very simple, but that one
Yeah.
is so strong thematically.
It
The
Yeah,
cameras
it
and
really
the
is.
paintings.
It really is.
Yeah.
So both games, Scotland Yard and Cooperative Museum Caper, are in the Dice Tower library. So I think they're worth still playing
Is
today.
Fugitive in the Dice Tower library? It's not, right?
Fugitive is which one?
The Tim Powers
That's the
card
Tim
game.
Fowers tiny 2-player one.
That's not really a...
I was worried about
That
you
is-
jabbing your
It
eye
is
out
hidden
with a
movement.
pencil.
It's not hidden movement on a board,
No,
but
it's
you're
not.
adding those
It
cards.
is not hidden movement at all.
You're
Not
one
even-
person trying to find.
No,
Oh,
you
it
are
is.
simply just guessing a number someone is
It's
going
hidden
to.
movement, the card game.
Yeah.
Is what it is, Tom.
No, it's a good game.
2 versus 1. 2 versus 1. We win. Chris and I
When
both
people
think it
do
is.
their top 10 hidden movement games, no one's putting that on their list.
I would.
I am.
I'd definitely put it on my
That's
list.
why we're never going to do that list. All right, anyhow, that's...
All right, Chris and me. We're going to make
Scotland
that
Yard.
one.
Hi, everybody.
Hello, we are Ryan and Bethany.
From Ryan Bethany Board Game Reviews.
All right, today we're talking about Life of a Chameleon. This is by Last Night Games. Basically, what you are is a chameleon in this game. And there's all these snakes and bugs on the board. You're trying to run around the board collecting all these different bugs to fulfill these order cards while not getting bit by snakes. Well, you have to blend in with the snakes in order to not be seen by them, and you have to be the right color of the bugs so that way they don't see you either. So how do you do that? Well, you're a chameleon, you can change colors. So that's what you're doing. You're changing your color of your meeple, running around the board, trying to eat all these bugs. That's kind of an abstract game. It's family weight. We've played it with our 5 and 9-year-old, and it's just a lot of fun.
I really enjoyed this game. I had so much fun when we were playing it. I really like just how you can... You really can do anything during your turn. You have a lot of options of things you can do that you can try and fulfill it. And then the way that the game ends, every single time somebody completes an objective, you roll a dice and there's this tracker. And so every time you roll a dice, it goes down 1, 2, 3, or 4 spaces on the tracker. So it kind of has this variable as to when it's going to end, which makes it like fun and a little stressful, but also fun at the same time.
So there's order objective cards that you're acquiring. You can acquire as many as you want, really. And you also, as soon as you acquire them, you also get a bonus of this special ability card that helps you either gather extra goods, or gives you extra points, or extra moves, or whatever the case is. So you really want to get as many of those as possible. However, at the end of the game, if you have any uncompleted ones, you're going to lose points. So it's like this tricky thing, like, do you get a whole bunch of those cards and kind of work on them all simultaneously to get all the special abilities? But then that means that at the end of the game, chances are, you're going to have a couple left over to get some negative points. So what do? Do you grab those? Do you not? I loved kind of that push and pull of the game, kind of stressing out a little bit. It was good tension.
This was a game that we thought was really fun. We had a great time playing it with our 5 and 9-year-old. If you want to hear more from Ryan and I, you can find us on YouTube. We're Ryan and Bethany Board Game Reviews. Everybody, this is Ryan and Bethany, hoping you have a happy, healthy breakfast.
Bye everybody.
Guys.
All right, let's see what's coming in the new year. All right, so
Good stuff.
Z is playing Slay the Spire again today, and that is happening in 45 minutes. Maybe he'll play one of the other characters, because I think he played the base character, and then you get to play some of the other characters, because I know he hasn't played them all yet.
I haven't played this at all.
It's fantastic.
Okay.
We got a lot of different games. Me and the kids are reviewing Boop.
Boop.
Well, My Little Everdale is going up this week. Zombie Kids.
The Flashback.
Flashback.
Flashpoint.
Flashback.
Back.
Flashback. Yes.
Flashpoint is the
Fire rescue.
fire game.
You're good.
Rebuilding Seattle. A bunch of different games are going to go up this week. The big thing is, over the course of the week, we're posting some of our top 10 lists of 2022, so you'll see those. And due to popular demand, we're taking a look at anticipated games for 2023, except that's going to be Chris, Wendy, Roy, and Camilla telling you their games that they're looking forward to the most coming out this year, with the obvious caveat that we know that half the games aren't going to come out till 2024, because that always happens.
I think my track record is actually better than that.
Is it?
At some point we're going to do the little look back on our anticipated games of last year, and I'm batting at least 70%, I think.
Oh. Yeah, I don't even know what
I
mine
think
is.
so.
I'll have to go back and do that. Don't worry, I'll do mine at some point, but that won't be this week. So that's kind of the stuff that's happening this week. There's stuff going up every day. And like I said, all our live shows, of course. One live show we're not doing this week is crowd surfing because, well, there's just not a lot of stuff to take a look at. So we're taking a week off from that, but we'll be back in full form with crowd surfing with a double week episode next week.
But on Wednesday, there will be a live stream. The Delicio Factor.
That's right.
Oh.
Mike is playing with the greatest opponent of all, himself.
What are you playing, Mike?
Paperback Adventure.
Paperback Adventures.
The
That's exciting.
roguelike word game.
Alrighty. Well, there you go. That's what's coming out this week. Let's keep moving.
Hey there everyone, it's Jam the Board Game Librarian, flipping some pages and pushing some cues with my segment from the page to the table where I pair books and board games together that share a common theme. This week I'm going to take a look at my favorite Star Wars character. If you follow me on social media long enough, you already know that that's Ahsoka. This young adult book is from E.K. Johnson. So this follows Ahsoka kind of after what happens in the Clone Wars, what she's been up to, things that are going on, and how she ends up ultimately getting hooked up with the Rebels storyline. And I liked this book. I was looking for more, I think, and that was part of my expectations, but, you know, kind of talks about how she ends up with her dual sabers here and what she does to purify them, so I liked that part of the story. So I was so tickled pink to see Star Wars, The Clone Wars, a pandemic story that had come out recently. 1 to 5 players, 60 minutes, ages 14 and up. So, again, I make no bones about it that we love Clone Wars in this house, and to see Ahsoka, like, front and center on the back, a playable character, a huge part of the game was very exciting to me. There's been a lot of buzz about these pandemic system games, but I like it. I like the pandemic system, and I like the fact that it's using different IPs, different themes, to give folks a pick your flavor. I talk about that a lot. Pick your flavor. So this, you are doing a variety of missions, looking to hold off one of the Star Wars villains, and you get to play some of the characters that you know and love from the Clone Wars. So I love that. That's all for this week, friends. Happy breakfast.
Assalamu alaikum. My City by Rainer Knizia is mostly a legacy game. You will be playing, you will be putting stickers, and even though there is a backside for endless play, still the majority of the game is, or the main fun part of the game is the legacy side. But if you wanted to replay it, you might have to buy another copy. But what if there was an alternate way? Well, as long as you can remove all those stickers and the reusable components from the game are available as printable files on the BGG file section as printable sticker sheets. So for all the 8 chapters. You can print as many of those components on the sticker sheet material. You can go to any print shop. I have done the same and get those printed, and then even replay the whole campaign as you wish. So if you liked My City as much as I did and want to replay it again, get the sticker sheet from the BGG file section of My City. That's it for me. Happy gaming.
All right, well, as always, we take a look at the shelf in the Dice Star Library and pick our favorite game from it. Here's the shelf.
2E.
Okay, so we're taking a look at 2E here. A lot of great games all the way down here at the bottom of the shelf. We have Stockpile, which is a great stock market game. Very simple and easy to play. Caesar's Empire, recently given a 10 by someone here. We're just going to say that's Chris's pick right now. Next to Rise of Augustus, which is a bingo-esque game. Favor the Pharaoh, which is a dice manipulation. If you like Yahtzee, Favor the Pharaoh takes it and cranks it to 11. Then we have Lacrimosa. This is a very new game here about the Mozart's Legacy, a heavy Euro-style game. Robin Hood and the Merry Men from Final Frontier Games. Legends of Andor. This is a puzzle adventure cooperative game. Z likes it a lot. Merv. This is a Euro-style game. That's pretty much the whole description of it. Vikings Gone Wild is a deck-building style game. Way of the Panda is an interesting one. It's a Euro game with a lot of little miniature pandas in it. Very fun to play. Sanssouci, if that's how you pronounce it, from Michael Kiesling, a nice tile-laying game. Spirit Island, I've heard of this one. Some people like this cooperative game, I think. Living Forest, this one just won the Kennerspiel. It's a bunch of mechanisms thrown in a box together, but they work pretty well. Zoo Loretto, this is a classic game about getting animals into your zoo. And then Tribes Dawn of Humanity, not quite a classic game, and if we ever get rid of a game on the shelf, that's probably the first one to go. But there you go, that's shelf 2E.
How dare you, Tom?
How dare I what? Pick your pick for you?
Yes. But...
Am I wrong?
Oh, no, absolutely. No, I mean, are you kidding? I gave that game a 10.
There's Spirit Island on the shelf. I don't know what you're not a big Spirit Island guy.
I've only played it the one time, but I mean, I really liked it, but it's been a year and a half.
It has been, yeah.
It's been a little while since I
year,
played it.
probably.
I'm kind of amazed at how good my picture I took looks here. So to take these pictures, folks, I take like a panoramic view.
Are you talking about how it goes like this?
You're laying on the floor.
And I'm laying on the floor doing it because I'm a tall man and it's really hard.
Wait.
And this was the third take and I was like, I'm
This
done.
one should be the easy one because there's a whole walkway in front of it.
What?
Like your picture shouldn't bow like that.
Because I'm on the floor. The easiest one is the one right in front of me.
Huh, okay.
And then when I get to the second lowest, I sit on a chair and slide on the chair. For this one, I'm just like sliding across the floor. And when I was done with this, I'm like, you can see all the games, I'm done. Anyway.
Third try. Third try is the charm, Tom.
This one's a tough one for me to pick my favorite. I'll let you go first.
I would probably pick Stockpile. This is one that I first played at East this last year. And it was
you
introduced
picked that
to me.
over Lacrimosa?
Oh, is Lacrimosa on there? Oh,
Yeah.
it is on there, huh? I don't know. They're both really good. They're very different.
They really are.
I like that economic I thought the bidding was interesting. I'm not a big bidding for stuff game person, but I thought Stockpile was really fun.
I know a lot of people watching love Spirit Island, so we'll give a shout out to them.
Yep.
For me, it all depends on the mood I'm in. Like, I could play most of the games at Shelf. I'd gladly pull off and play. Right now, if I had to play a game off Shelf, I'd probably play Rise of Augustus. It's been a while, so that's a little bit there, but probably Stockpile. Lacrimosa is pretty good too.
The one I want to try off the shelf that I've never played was Vikings Gone Wild. Actually,
Oh, it's a deck building game. It's a little bit different. You're building. You're like building a little town in front of you almost, and then you attack each other. But when you attack someone, you don't hurt them. It's just that if they don't defend properly, you get points, which is a nice way to do it.
Do we have a lot of expansions in that box? I feel like I organized that.
Yeah, so I think
looked
we took
at it
some
all.
of them out.
Yeah.
Because some of the expansions, they all changed the game considerably. But
Got it. Yeah, no, I remember that was a big Kickstarter campaign for Lucky Duck back in the day. But no, I mean, yeah, there's a couple of really good games on there. The standout for me is clearly Caesar's Empire. But Stockpile is also probably my second favorite.
Now, Living Forest is very popular. That's one that I feel like is very basic. And so it doesn't have a lot. It doesn't have a lot to give me in the future. I feel like I played it, and I'm good.
I do wonder where that one will show up. All right, well, that's what's on that shelf.
Hey board gamers, BJ from Board Game Gumbo here, back on the breakfast, talking about another small box game. This time it's Break the Cube, a 4-player game from Yellow Games designed by Ryohei Kurohashi. Let's get right to the table and see how it plays. In Break the Cube, it's a fast-playing puzzle game. It's only going to take you about 10 or 15 minutes. I've got it set up for 2 players, but you can play up to 4. What we'll do is we'll each get a set of 3 different types of blocks in different colors. We'll build out those 3 blocks into a pattern behind the screen so no one else can see. Once that's done, we'll start the question phase. That's the second part. And there we're asking 1 or 2 questions. Either we're going to ask, what do you see from the top down? And they've got to tell you where that color is. Or, what do we see from the side? And in that case, we're getting a lot more information because from the side we can see 1, 2, or 3 or no colors at all. But that question applies to everyone, including the person who asked. So you're getting a lot of information, but you're also giving some information. Then the third part of the game is once somebody figures out or they think they know what the configuration is, they can always stop the game and use their turn to say, is this configuration, does that match what you have behind the screen? And if they have it, then they win the game. Now there's some lagniappe included also. Obviously, the way we play here is a memory game. But for people that maybe don't want to play a memory style game, there's some other rules, including this handy dandy cheat sheet. Each player can get this, or maybe even handicap 1 or other players. And the people who want to use this can write down the answers so they don't have to remember, like me, or forget what question they asked 5 minutes ago. All right, that was Break the Cube from Yellow Games, a small box game, a big puzzle, a lot of fun in only 15 minutes. Check it out, let me know what you think. Until next time, laissez les bon temps rouler.
All right, today we're taking a look at the TV show called Andor.
Finally!
Get ready.
Which is sort of about Cassius Andor.
Cassian, close.
Huh?
Cassian, close.
Cassian?
You think Cassius Clay.
Yeah, you're right. Whatever. Cassian Andor. It's kind of about him. I mean, a lot of the show's about him. But
It's about him.
He's not. He's a main character. I would almost argue instead of the main character, maybe.
Yeah, I think that was maybe the surprise for me going in, is that there's multiple subplots going on.
And in fact, I would argue that in the finale, he's not as prominent as you would think. He's there. He's in the finale. But anyways.
I mean, I definitely feel like it's his story that's motivating everything else.
I agree on that.
Yeah.
Although I would argue that a couple other characters overshadow him. Particularly, I don't know the actor's name, the leader of the Resistance.
Oh, what is the actor? Stellan Skarsgård. Yeah, his Luthen Rael.
He's amazing.
He's one of the best.
He is pretty awesome.
Here's the thing, Tom. Without going into any spoilers discussion, remember, many of the characters in the show are some of my favorite Star Wars characters now. like the Luthen Rael, the guy who is kind of the in charge of this chunk of the rebellion or whatever, is fantastic. The people in the Imperial Security Bureau, about a third of the show takes place in a council room where it's the bad guys' security team. It's their intelligence department. Those are some of my favorite scenes of all Star Wars. The discussion of how the Empire tries to quelch anything like rebellions and stuff from going on. I love that.
I really like that you get to dive into so much more of the universe. So I feel like a lot of Star Wars movies take place on like 3 planets and the Death Star. Like, you don't have a lot of exploration. This goes into a lot of the world, and I love that. And it goes really into like the ISB. And it's fun to see, it's fun for me to see the motivation behind good people trying to do good things in an evil empire. Like, I love seeing that, because the Empire's full of just normal people. It's not just full of evil people. Otherwise, it wouldn't run, it wouldn't work. And so I love just seeing that, understanding people's motivations
that's
behind
true,
things.
They do not do anything to dehumanize prison guards at all. I mean, to humanize them.
Humanize
them.
Sure.
Stormtroopers, or pretty much any of the grunts. They're all pretty bad across the board.
It's more the upper level people.
The upper level, and even then I would argue that they, like the most decent guy is like in episode 1, and he's like, I'm taking a trip. Anyhow, so here's the thing. I like and dislike parts of Andor. I think overall it's a fantastic show, and episode 10 of the 12 is one of the best episodes of TV I've ever seen. It's tense. What's happening is really well done. It's great. And there's also, what's his name we already just mentioned, has a great monologue in it with quotable lines, and very, very good. That episode's great. Episode 12, the finale, was also very good, but episode 10 to me was the high point of the series. Now, the problem Andor has is that it's filmed not particularly as a series as much as it is filmed as a really long movie.
Oh, that's what I like about it.
Or a series of movies. Well, no, what I mean by that is you got to kind of binge it a little bit, or you need to at least binge it almost in groups of 3. So episodes 1 through 3 is just one really long episode. If you don't know, if they just released episode 1, I would not have watched it. I would have watched episode 1, I would have been like, this is boring, I'm out.
Yeah, they released the 3 of them on the initial day, and that was definitely for a reason, because it's a slow burn.
It's a
particularly slow burn.
Too slow, in my opinion. Those first 3 episodes. Episodes 4 through 6 picks up, and it's a great sequence. Mm-hmm. And then episodes 7 through 10 is my favorite sequence.
Okay.
9 is kind of like, okay, everyone calm down, because we went through a lot of, stuff.
Yes.
And then let's go back up in 10, and let's have the finale. And I already mentioned this, we already had discussed this off air and stuff, and this is a very good TV show. I'm just not convinced it's very Star Wars-y, and the main reason...
Star Wars is she.
Yeah, whatever. Mm-hmm. The main reason is there is less than 1% humor in this show, period. There's not anything... And I don't care what you say about Star Wars, and I know that Star Wars is more in Tatooine and all that just stuff, but Star Wars had lots of funny. The reason I love Star Wars is because it's a mixture of adventure and comedy, like the Indiana Jones movies. You know, Han Solo and Leia fighting the whole time. You're too short to be a stormtrooper. That stuff is mixed with cool action sequences. This is the cool action sequences, and this is the dirty nitty-gritty behind the scenes, but there's no... Did anyone crack a joke at all? I mean, it might have happened. It probably did, but it was very, very serious.
It was super intense.
It's very serious.
And I guess that's not what Star Wars is to me, whereas that is for you. For me,
okay, but that is what Star Wars was before you saw the show, right?
Star Wars was nothing but Ewoks. Ewoks and porgs.
What was Star Wars before you saw Andor?
Before I saw Andor? I mean, I think of like the Boba Fett show. Is that really funny? Does that have a lot of like funny moments?
There's some, but also
there's some.
I don't
Mandalorian
is pretty serious. So I don't have an issue with the seriousness.
No, Mandalorian is not serious. Yes, it's serious, but there's Baby Yoda in it, who counterbalances that. It makes it Star Wars-y to me. It's
killing me, Tom.
I don't care. There's so many sequences that didn't feel like almost Star Wars at all. In fact, okay, like there's one sequence. He's in some place and you see these people and they're walking down corridors and stuff. And I was like, that looks like the subway from Britain. It's just that they're wearing a few little Star Wars things. And there was a few aliens and stuff. And I was like, oh, cool. When I got to those sequences, I felt a little Star Wars. And again, I'm nitpicking. I think it's a good show. I just don't know that it felt like Star Wars.
So here's what Star Wars was to me, right, to answer your question. When you look at 1977, the original Star Wars movie, what people really liked about it was that it was not a sterile, clean sci-fi, right? The cleanest, most sterile parts of the original movie are the Imperial Star Destroyers and those bridges and those hallways and stuff that are all evil. The more clean and organized something is, the more just kind of inherently bad guy it is. And you go down to just mucky, awful planets, desert planets, scrap yards. Star Wars was kind of innovative in the sense of being a grittier sci-fi series. So that to me is kind of what Star Wars is, right?
But it also had magical, mystical, the Force.
It does.
Which is not in Andor at all. Which is, I don't care, that's not a spoiler. I mean, it's not there at all, which again, isn't necessarily a bad thing. I don't need Jedi in everything. But there's also very few aliens. There's a few.
Mm-hmm.
Right. There's a few. So this is my thought. We actually, Wendy and I, based on your recommendation, just finished watching the TV show Severance, right? The Apple TV series.
Yeah.
And I really love that. And I was thinking about your complaint here, your whining complaint. Like, does this feel like Star Wars? And to me, it does. It clearly does. Whereas, like, if you were to take a TV show like Severance, you could just retheme that and put it in the Star Wars universe, and it'd be an interesting little side story. But the way that Andor does it, the crux of the whole series of Andor is really about rebellion and empire. And so it's
that is
overarching.
interesting. I just don't know that. I mean, it could have been just a sci-fi universe with a despot in charge.
But so could Severance, you know what I mean? But that doesn't feel Star Warsy to me, Star Wars-ishly to me, but Andor does. Yes, it's a very big sidestep tonally, but it still feels like it belongs in that universe. It rounds out what Wendy was saying, that rounds out those human characters that take place in the Empire and in the Rebellion.
And I think for me, the Star Wars that really sticks for me is, once again, that combination between the Rebellion and the Empire. But also, in Star Wars, you have all this really amazing technology, and then people on these crappy planets have very crappy versions of it. You have droids that barely work. You have machinery that's advanced for what we understand, and yet they look like a lower civilization than what we have here. And so there's that dichotomy between
Again,
Empire
I get
and that.
all that.
And
I'm
so
just saying,
that's my feel.
Again, you guys were born 10 years too late. That whole igniting of the lightsaber, the first time you saw Chewbacca, that stuff it's hard to quantify, but that just anyway. Let's talk about the show. The show I like a lot. Andy Serkis is my favorite actor in the show.
And once again,
He's
one of
pretty
those
awesome.
like, hey, here's a side character. One of my favorite Star Wars characters of all time now.
I did not like, all the way up to the end, did not like the Mon Mothma stuff at all. I almost fell asleep during that. Do not care about your relationship with your teenage daughter, and I say that as a parent of many teenage daughters. I was just like, whatever.
That was too real for you.
Yeah, maybe. And then there was a side story, and I'm not going to try to, because that side story starts in episode 1 and ends in continues, I'm sure it will continue in season 2. And I just felt like, why was that there? I kept waiting for a big payoff, and the payoff moment, and I'm talking about one of the bad guy characters, the guy who lives with his mother.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I thought the payoff moment for that was like, I waited 10 episodes to see that? What's happening here? That just felt, maybe they're going to make that payoff in season 2.
Undoubtedly, I'm sure.
But
I assume.
I just was kind of like, okay, something's going to happen here. Something's going to happen here. And nothing did. And I was just like, oh, that was that. Because they spent a lot of time on that subplot.
But once again, good people in the Empire that are, convinced of the Empire's goodness in their ways. Like, I love diving into that stuff. I really like dystopias and getting into how does a dystopia work and function. You have to have good people. doing bad stuff, evil things. You know, I mean, I love it.
Don't think that person's particularly good. That's the kind of person I wouldn't want to hang out with at all.
Yeah, and that's the thing is like you sit there and
think that's
question.
a good person?
I think that he, in his heart, is trying to be a good person. I think he's messed up. You know what I mean? He's got his issues, but I think
like a
he's
creeper,
trying to generally be a good person.
Correct, right?
He's
and that's-
following his moral guidance.
I'm seeing that in the chat too, right? But that's the thing is that like the show is about people, flawed individuals, some people who rise up and become really good and everything. And so I don't know. The fact that this is a prequel can hurt it for some people, but I also like the idea that you don't know really where Cassian starts off in the series. The series is called Andor. I expect him to be this like awesome rebel, rebel leader and all that stuff, whatever. But it's more about growth.
His growth arc, very
It's
good.
very good, yeah.
Again, I'm giving this an 8 out of 10. I like the show and the sequence. 4 to 6, 9 out of 10, and 10 to 10 for the 6 to 8, whatever the series. I forget the. Anyway,
Numbers, math.
Anyway,
game.
the prison sequence, amazing. I really like that, and I also like watching the bad guys in their, talk
Security
about the
council
stuff.
and
their
Yeah.
world, yeah.
I mean, I think the whole thing's great. So don't get so hung up on the fact that I don't think it's very Star Wars themed as much, because it's still a good show. And
Say
if
the
you
word
don't
done.
like Star Wars, you might like this, actually.
Yeah.
I really
Sure.
think that's the case. I think it's well done, but I also think you almost need to binge it in packs. Watch 1 to 3, watch 4 to 6, watch 7 to 9 or whatever it is, and no, you should just watch all the way to the end at that point. But I think that's your best bet.
Yeah.
Because if you end after episode 1, nothing really happens. And I wish it had gone quicker. But the acting is all well done. I can't think of anyone in this series who I think is a bad actor, like at all.
Yeah.
They're all very
It's all
well
very
done.
good.
And they did, in the prison sequence, the way that the prison was put together was a unique thing I'd never seen before, which I thought was awesome.
That was one of the most creative, yeah.
So,
The action sequence in episode 3, which is probably the first action sequence of the show, basically.
yeah.
Which I'm giving Andor a 9, right? I like it so much. Part of it is that it is slow. The first real action sequence takes place in the 3rd episode, which is a bit much of an ask for people. But if you stick through that part of it, I was hooked. The first 2 episodes I thought were fine, they were good. I'm getting to know the characters. Action sequence in 3, one of the best staged things I've seen in a Star Wars series. In anything Star Wars, I should say.
Interesting. So I'm also going to give it a 9. I had so much adrenaline in that 3rd episode, like the entire time. And I guess that's kind of like how you said there's not a lot of comedy. There's no comedic relief in the intense episodes. Like, it is intense the entire time, and there's never a moment where you're like, okay, give me more. Like, it's just going the whole time. And I loved that. I absolutely loved that. So great stuff.
Alrighty, well, that's Andor. We talked a lot. I'm sure we could talk a lot more about it. If we could spoil it, it'd be even more interesting to talk about. But there you go. Let's keep going.
Hello everybody and welcome to my segment, A Board Game 1,000 Pieces. So, it's the day we have to talk about that board game. Yes, I own a copy of Monopoly. To my defense, it's very nice. Look at that. I've got this big, giant castle in the middle of it that don't make the game better. The thing is, I do have a very, very nice memories of playing Monopoly with my dad when he just moved back to England, with my boyfriend who gifted me this particular copy of the game when we were very young. So this one is from 2005, and the thing is, I married him now, and I can't throw it away because I still got a kind of a nostalgia feeling for Monopoly. I don't play it a lot, maybe once every 4 or 5 years, but my kids do play it and they like it. I don't know why. They play Dominion with us, but they do like Monopoly. So who am I to say you are not allowed to? Okay, so I had this Monopoly jigsaw and I did it. It was quite fun to do, so let's see how that went. watching. Bye-bye.
Happy breakfast, everyone. Today I'm here to talk to you about Maui. This is a brand new game, a towel tile placement game from Next Move Games, where you have this beach scene in front of you. You're creating this sort of chain of towels along, moving up and down the beach, trying to link the different colours to the previously placed tile, because that's going to get you points, because you're going to go up these coloured tracks for doing that. The tiles can't be rotated. They have pebbles on one sort of top or bottom, depending on how you've arranged your board. Those pebbles must always be on that top or that bottom now. So it means when you're taking from the market, you often find you want to rotate the tile because it will score you more points, but you can't. So there's a real sort of puzzle sort of working out, almost a bit of a spatial one as you're sort of imagining placing that future tile next to the ones you've got. And you're trying to push to the edges. You don't want to just be in the middle of the beach. You want to be near the shorefront or near the back, because that's going to get you more movement up those tracks. But there's the risk, the fun risk, that you sort of push your luck of going too far and maybe dipping your towel into the water, which will lose you points, or off the back of the beach, which will lose you points. So yeah, it's got an interesting sort of puzzle. I think it's a nice, bright, vibrant game that the aesthetics will draw the eye, even though the beach theme isn't the strongest thing in the world. I think at 2 players we have enjoyed this quite a bit, because that market you can see what's coming up, whereas more players than that market's fresher, but you can't always sort of keep track on that will still be available to me next time. But that is Maui. Let me know if you've played it and what you thought of it in the comment section below. And I'm Oliver East, signing out.
All right, well, that is it for Board Game Breakfast, folks. In just 10 minutes or so, Z's going to be doing What's Happening, playing Slay to Spire, and I'll be back with a Q&A at noon. So I'll see you guys then. But until next time, I'm Tom Vasel.
I'm Wendy Yee.
I'm Chris Yee. Star Wars-ishly.
Have fun gaming.
Thanks for watching Board Game Breakfast. Tune in each week for your daily dose of gaming goodness with Tom Vasel and all the gang. Until next time, I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching Board Game Breakfast, a Dice Tower production.